This is a 19-year-old male. He's a student from Hyderabad. His chief complaint was inability to pass urine per urethra for the last 20 months.
So, I would like to know about the detail of his avoiding lower urinary tract symptoms. Was he passing urine in small quantity, or was he not able to pass? How was it started? Whether was there any history of trauma or any history of instrumentation? And how it progresses over the period of time, whether he was passing urine initially and how it progressed, and whether it is associated with storage urinary tract symptoms.
Go slow now, you don't have to ask everything in one sentence. Basically, he is saying inability to pass urine per urethra. So then how is he passing urine? Is there any other way of passing urine except for urethra? So what?
So, I want to know the detail about his present complaint.
Yeah.
How is passing urine?
The patient is on SPC.
Inability to pass. Inability to pass urine is retention of urine?
No, not always.
How do you differentiate two? One has literal inability to pass urine. Did he have retention at that time?
No, that
or he had anuria?
That.
So that is more important. You are asking of frequency and storage symptoms.
Yes. Since last 20 months.
20 months. Okay, maybe you have received treatment. So that initial inability to pass urine was one. Can only two, no? No urine output or inability to retention, right?
So, is there any history of oliguria? Is it oliguria or and how was it managed? You said SPC was inserted.
Yeah, patient is on SPC for the last. Hello. Patient is on SPC for the last 20 months.
Yes.
He had an alleged history of road traffic accident on 19th of July 2019, following which he was taken to a local hospital. Resuscitation was done and SPC was done. 4 days later, he underwent incision and drainage of a large hematoma in the left thigh and gluteal region. In September 2019, he underwent skin grafting over the skin defect in the left thigh and gluteal region. And finally, on 26th of December 2019, he underwent progressive perineal urethroplasty at Hyderabad.
Okay, so what was the mode of RTA?
It was a high impact injury. The patient was.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah. So I would like to know the mode of RTA, whether at that time there was blood at the meatus and whether patient has passed urine or some urine after the RTA episode.
No, after the RTA.
Has this history when you are told? What is the relevance of blood at meatus? Want to know all this history?
So whether he is now come with urinary retention after the operative procedure. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, in subsequent slides. Hello.
Yeah, has he come now with urinary retention after the operative procedure of December 2019?
Yes.
I would know the post-operative course of the patient and what was the intraoperative finding of the patient if present, was it a difficult operation, and what procedure was actually performed, whether pleural separation was done or whether a pubectomy was needed? And I would like to know the post-operative course of the patient. After how many days catheter was removed, and was patient passing urine voiding well for how many days, and then from when the urinary symptom again started?
Patient underwent this urethroplasty in December 2019. In February 2020, the urethral catheter was removed. On first day, he was able to void, but from the second day onwards, that is from February 2020, he is not able to void per urethra. That means on the second day onwards, he is not able to pass. Second day of the urethral catheter removal, he is not able to pass urine from the urethra.
Okay, so
So what does that
was
indicate? The patient can't pass urine on the second day of catheter removal. What does that indicate?
it is an early failure of
Failure we know. Not passing urine
Probably
is failure. But why?
multiple reasons can be present, ma'am. First of all, the anastomosis, due to technical reason, the anastomosis was not patent, or whether or it has been anastomosis to a false passage.
Okay, could be anastomosis to
False passage.
What then?
There can be inadequate excision of a callus or bone fragment which is impending on the intestine. It is also a possibility.
When an anastomosis is done, can it be done with something on top of it? With something pressing extrinsically? Can you anastomose the urethra?
No.
You need space to take the stitches, no?
Yes.
Then, so what are the reasons for immediate failure? One is okay, anastomosis to false passage.
Yes.
What else?
Ischemia, inadequate blood
Ischemia
supply.
on day one.
No, it was present during the post-op course, and now it has, after catheter removal, there probably a
So already
bulbar
that
necrosis.
segment was necrosed.
Yes.
In those 6 weeks, wherever they kept the catheter, was in an unhealthy
part.
Okay.
It can be due to anastomosis done under tension, which has not healed now, and after catheter removal, probably the ends are not healed and have distracted again.
Distraction.
So they separated again.
Yeah.
Can be a
Does the healing occur in 6 weeks?
Yes.
Is there place for to go back? Pull apart. What else can happen?
Missed urinary bladder calculus may have impacted at the site of anastomosis.
Yeah.
Clot or hematoma as organ is very rarely can obstruct the urinary flow.
Okay.
Or yes, so was any imaging study done at that time? And I would like to know whether patient had history of erectile dysfunction pre-operatively or in the post-operative period.
Have we completed urinary history?
So
Only you have come to know that urethroplasty was done, and 2 months later, catheter was removed. He failed to what? He is anesthesia. So we don't want to know anything more.
So now he is totally on SPC, whether he is passing periuretrally any urine, whether there is history of any passage of urine periuretrally, or he has totally stopped passing urine.
He has totally stopped passing urine per urethra. He's passing urine only through the SPC.
So it is still catheter removal, or it gradually decrease?
No, he's saying
No.
no. He give one and stop. Stop. So suppose you are the patient or I am the patient. Will accept it? Or will keep quiet for 1 year? What has happened in between, we need to know. Mabu.
So since then he is on SPC, and any procedure has been done on this patient?
after this urethroplasty, patient was evaluated here last year in March 2020, but because of COVID, he could not come on the aforesaid date. So he has turned up this year.
Okay, so he was on SPC since 1.5 years.
Yes.
I would like to know whether if during any episode of blockage of SPC, whether there was any history of leakage of urine perurethral or to the perineum.
There is no such history.
Okay. Is there any past urological history apart from this? Because any operative history?
There is no such history.
Is there history of erectile dysfunction?
Post this urethroplasty, the erections are weaker than what it was previously.
Has complained of leakage of urine from the any perineal side, whether for addition, whether patient has history of erectile dysfunction, and what was the any procedure was done for the
Hello.
Sorry, we are disconnecting.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was asking whether there is history of any urinary leakage for this patient, any operative procedure for pelvic fracture, whether it was performed or not, and now is patient orthopedic wise stable? Is he able to do routine activities?
Patient, as of now, patient is ambulatory. He was ambulatory prior to the urethroplasty also, and these are the only surgical history he has till 2019.
Okay. So history of patient is on catheter change or a suprapubic catheter for more than 1 year, what are the things you would like to know?
Whether was he changing the catheter regularly?
Yes, he was changing it every month at Hyderabad.
Okay, whether there was any history of fever or pyuria for this patient?
There is no such history.
What are the complications of prolonged SPC?
Urinary tract infection.
Infection fast.
Yes, bladder.
Okay, what else? Okay, it's not very important, but at least we should know. Epididymosis, bladder spasm, aren't those common things? No? They develop prematurely at times. Okay, so now we have come to 2021.
Yes.
Patient has come to you.
Yes.
Want to know anything more? Or we are going to examination?
Is there any history of addiction?
There is no such history.
If the patient has no comorbidities, patient married or?
No, not married. He's a student, he is not married yet.
You asked about erection, they told you?
They told he completely reduced erectile function.
Reduced means what?
He's saying after operation, it was erection is not as pre-operative. He has not quantified it.
But there is erection.
But there is erectile dysfunction. But
he told me he's got no erection.
Oh, you
Morning,
said
sir.
okay.
Morning, sir. He told me he's got no erection. Anyway, whatever it is.
Okay.
There is erectile dysfunction.
Okay.
So, from your, you can summarize as we discussed last.
Yes, sir. So He's a 19-year-old fellow with history of pelvic floor urethral distraction defect, which was managed with delayed progressive perineal urethroplasty, and now came with and has post-operatively failure to pass urine and early anastomotic failure. Now come with further management, and patient has SPC in situ. The patient also has erectile dysfunction. I would like to know the detailed operative procedure of the previous surgery, what was performed, whether we know that or not, whether whether corporal separation was done or inferior pubectomy was done in this patient.
Inferior pubectomy was done in this patient.
And any introp difficulty in anastomosis, or it was tension free?
Nothing of that kind has been mentioned.
Regarding vascularity, if anything has been mentioned.
After they tell you tell me after.
Operating.
Usually, how will they tell vascularity? So it has to be good. They can't anastomose something which is blackened or something, right? How does your history of inferior pubectomy help you? Why are you wanting to know it?
Ma'am, if we are operating this patient again, then we have to keep in mind that step has already been done. So anyway, we have to assess whether there is sufficient space available or not. We will keep in mind that furthermore mobilization may be required to us, or any abdominal approach may be needed if this procedure has already been done.
That is not the way to answer the question that Madam asked. You said inferior pubectomy. Madam clearly asked you as to what is your implication for that?
That it was a large defect.
So it must have been a defect which was probably long enough for you not to do a direct anastomosis. Must have been a very severe injury to have gone through 3 steps, isn't it? Bulbar mobilization, corporal separation, inferior pubectomy. And only after inferior, that means there was significant gap, and this is something that we have to be concerned about already.
Yes,
The extent of the injury.
So general examination, normal. Systemic examination.
Systemic and local examination. Go to previous slide, please. I would like to know location of SPC, whether it is in midline or not, and whether the SPC is in midline, and what is the caliber of SPC.
Yeah, the SPC is in midline.
What else you want to know about the SPC? Why are you so concerned whether it's in midline or lateral or?
Sir, because if I have to operate on this patient, I will need a midline SPC to help.
Why do you need a midline SPC? If it is lateral?
If it is lateral, then it will be difficult for me to pass a sound into the bladder neck, into the posterior urethra.
So you will put a new SPC?
If it is lateral, yes, I would put a new midline SPC.
And you will wait for it to mature, then only do the operation.
Intra.
Unnecessary, you know. Suppose even if it is in the midline, can't we negotiate? Unless it is at the, you say anterior superior iliac span, then it may be difficult to negotiate. In general, like, see, unnecessarily 2-3 questions are gone, which can't. We changed the for any subject. Have we ever changed in the last 3 months, 3 years?
Generally,
Have
we
you
have
changed? You
midline
tell me yes
SPC.
and no. Okay, forget it. Midline
No,
and lateral. You don't change.
what is more important is probably the location of the midline SPC. Is it a very low SPC or a high SPC? Sometimes these low SPCs can give you trouble, but generally speaking, we don't change it. We just leave it and try to manipulate with a visible scope or a flexi scope and see. By asking this question, you have invited some trouble on yourself. Leave it. What is it? It is not going to. You must also know what are the types of queries and questions you must ask in the exam. Lateral, midline. Leave it is not going to cause a problem, isn't it? Let the examiner ask you. Huh?
Some things you should let go. If you are asking things which can bring you in trouble, you should not do. Anyway, okay. What do you want to know? Anything more you want to know?
In local examination, next slide, please.
Is something missing in this?
Is there anything else you would like to do in the examination of this patient specifically?
I would like to know the
On the examination, what do you want to know?
gland sensation, perineal sensation, whether they are present or not, and glands, whether the glands is cold or normal in temperature.
The perineal sensation is reduced, but glance is normal.
Have I told you something about the scar in his perineum?
With what type of scar is there in the perineum, whether it is a midline or it is a lambda shaped scar?
It was midline.
Okay.
What other feature on the scar are you looking at? Anything else you ask about the scar to the patient? The scar is there in the midline, but anything else you want to know about the wound?
So whether it has healed, whether any
Ultimately, all these wounds will heal. He's little specific.
any opening present there, any sinus present on palpation, whether there is a severe induration or severe fibrosis palpable in that region.
Now it is nearly 1 year, no? You want to know whether there was a problem in the perioperative period. So you want to know whether this wound healed by primary intention. Was there a collection? Was there some infection in the wound? We are trying to find out as to why this operation failed, isn't it? Even after doing an inferior pubectomy, this patient is still on an SPC. So the operation has failed. He is strictured now. And we are trying to look at all the reasons for failure. And one of the most important reasons for failure is infection.
Yes, sir.
Infection will signify ischemia. There could be infection in the wound just because there is urine and everything else and there is a bone which has been chipped and all the rest of it. But infection will destroy the blood supply and there will be ischemia. And this can result in narrowing. It's well documented. You read these articles, they will tell you. Infection is the most important thing in a perineal wound. And if there is a sinus or anything else, they will tell you patients that discharge was there, it took a long time to heal, they were doing dressing. So that's enough reason to know that it will fail. Okay.
8.6.
This is before surgery or
Before surgery.
So I would like to evaluate this patient with RGU and MCU, retrograde ureterogram and micturating cystoureterogram. Along with that, I would also like to do penile Doppler for this patient. Penile and pelvic Doppler for this patient.
what do you mean by pelvic Doppler? What vessel you see?
Penile Doppler.
What pelvic Doppler you see?
Right,
Normal, when the penis is in the unerect state, you can do a Doppler.
with the papillary pipe.
Hey, if you want, you say, but I don't know whether you do Doppler in the non-erect state. Pelvic Doppler is which Doppler?
Like to know the vascularity of
Which vessel?
internal pudendal artery.
Internal pudendal artery.
They are doing that? Something new? Internal pudendal artery.
You see internal pudendal. Where is internal pudendal from?
Identify that artery itself angiographically is a big drama. Now you want to do Doppler of that artery also. ये कहाँ लिखा है यार?
दोनों चीजें मैंने तो कभी सुनी नहीं है. Penile Doppler और pelvic Doppler.
Where is the blood supply to the penis coming from?
From common penile artery.
Where is that coming from?
From the internal pudendal artery.
So if you do Doppler for the penis, it will indirectly tell you what's happening in the internal pudendal. Why you want to go and shade of that artery now and invite trouble? Huh? See? That's why they do this here. It's easy, no? The organ is accessible, and you can give the shot of papaverine or whatever you want to go, get erection and see what the blood flow is, improving or not. Huh?
Yes.
So you want an MCU RGU. I think you go slow.
Yes.
MCU RGU is standard. Nobody will say no, don't do it.
Yes.
Let me ask you, instead of this, what else can be done if you don't want to do it? Those answers you have to keep ready.
Yes. Do we have an MCU RGU of this patient?
I hope you have got what madam was trying to get at. It is more important to focus in this case on the RGU MCU rather than the penile Doppler. The first is to know what is the status of his urethra. That's his prime problem. The secondary problem is ED. He did not come to the hospital saying, I've got erectile dysfunction. He came to the hospital saying, I cannot pass urine, I've got the SPC. That's the reason why he came. Okay. Right.
Do we have a scout film?
Do you have a
Plain film? Do we have plain film?
plain film? There is one plain film somewhere, but it looks the same as what here it is.
Next slide, please.
I hope you are observing the dates of these X-rays carefully. Don't just look at all the information that is given to you in the X-ray. Name of patient, age of patient, date of X-ray, which is right side, which is left side. All those things are there.
So this is an retrograde. This is an retrograde ureterogram with micturating cystoureterogram of this patient. The plain film shows that the soft tissues are normal, on the bony pelvis, the patient is post inferior pubectomy. On the right side, the bony bridge between the superior and inferior pubic rami is missing. They are separated on the right side. Then on retrograde ureterogram, the anterior urethra appears to be normal, and there is an abrupt cutoff at the level of proximal bulbar region. On cystogram, the bladder contour appears to be normal, the capacity appears to be normal. Then on voiding film, the bladder neck is opened, the posterior urethra is visualized and dilated, and there is an abrupt cutoff at the in the posterior urethra, probably at the level of membranous urethra. So this patient has a defect.
Something about the posterior urethra.
It is kinked. It is kinked posterior. It has a S-shape. It is posteriorly displaced, and the posterior urethra is posteriorly displaced, and it has a kinked. It can be a narrow segment. I am not able to appreciate. I would like to confirm it on OP.
Does he have his own voiding X-ray? We'll show you another X-ray. See this also. No, old voiding, no. Old one?
Yes, sir. This is in 2009. This was done in 2019, prior to the uretroplasty at Hyderabad. And rest of the films they have not brought actually.
It's okay.
So I've arranged it in chronological order, sir.
Okay, show the latest one. Just concentrate on the voiding study. Concentrate, show the previous one. Show the RGU. Yes, concentrate on this RGU, which was done last year at the time of the corona, following post-operatively, after his surgery, which was done in 2019.
Yes, sir. December 2019.
So this was the catheter. This was the RGU done in February 20. Now go to the next one. No, go back. And this was done in March 2020, the voiding X-ray. This was just before the complete lockdown. This patient was not. You see the voiding X-ray has not changed. The same picture is there. It's voiding, and then there is a dilatation of the posterior urethra, and it looks as though it is folded on itself. And again, you are right. These posterior urethra usually get displaced towards the rectum. And you can see in this lateral X-ray that this is being displaced towards the posteriorly. Okay. Normally, you don't see a picture like this. Normally, you see a dilated posterior urethra and a cutoff. It's all in alignment. But obviously here, it is not in alignment. The urethra has been completely displaced and taut. So we don't know what that little second bulge is. It's obviously got contrast and it's communicating with the urethra because it's when it's voiding. But it is not actually in any way in line with the urethra which is seen on the RGU. Show the next picture. Now look very carefully at this RGU. This is the latest RGU done now. Compare it with the previous RGU. Go back on the RGU done in this thing just to refresh his memory.
So this is 2020.
Yes.
The comparative of 2 hours.
You see this?
Sir, initially in the just post-operative period, the cutoff was more proximal. The contrast was going, it looks like it is going into a false passage.
No, it is not going into a false passage. It is irregular. You see the contour of the rest of the urethra and you see the contour of that urethra which is looking a little irregular.
Yes, sir.
Alright?
However, the contrast is not going into the bladder in that sense.
It is not going to the bladder. This was immediately after the surgery. That's why this fellow was in retention. He couldn't pass urine, so the SPC was not removed. But what I want you to appreciate is what happens over time. You see the bottom right X-ray and you see the top left X-ray, RGU. This is what was done here.
Yes, sir. Here.
So both X-rays are there for comparison, and you can see what has happened over time. In 1 year's time, the urethra which you are seeing is irregular has completely gone, and you don't find it in the current RGU which is seen on the left side, top left picture. You appreciate that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, it's very important to make these observations when you are describing the RGU. Because the equation changes completely now. Also, you must look very astutely at the image of the RGU. The urethra is a very smooth, well-distended tube. And if you find irregularity as you're seeing here, these are post-operative changes and they would indicate that there is some garbage going on. It is not normal.
Yes.
It should be smooth outline if it has healed.
Do we have finding of scopy?
Intraoperative scopy was done. On-table urethroskopy was done, and there was a tight stricture at the level of the penoscrotal junction.
A little beyond the penoscrotal.
A little beyond the penoscrotal junction, there was a tight stricture.
Just a bulb.
Okay, and suprapubic scopy?
You could see up to the Vermont tunnel, that's all.
So when you're doing a redo case, what all things you want to operate, na?
Yes,
Assume
ma'am.
you want to do something for that.
Yes.
So what are the factors you would think of before touching? If it is scopy, you need an MC. Have you got your problems in hand? Can you enumerate them 1, 2, 3, 4?
Ma'am, this patient has a large urethral defect, approximately 3 to 4 centimeters in size. This patient has anemia. This patient has history of erectile dysfunction, so probably of poor vascularity there, and failed previous surgery. So difficult intra-op procedure is anticipated.
So you are saying that the defect is 3 to 4 centimeters. So what are the plans in your mind to bridge this defect or to correct it?
Are you saying the gap is 4 centimeters, 3 centimeters?
He is saying it
Probably
is 3 to 4
more,
centimeters.
approximately 3 to 4 centimeters.
The entire bulb,
Probably more.
entire bulb is approximately 5 centimeters. This is a straight line, na?
Yes, ma'am.
When this is a straight line up to penoscrotal junction, oh, that whole thing is not there. Maybe it was mobilized last time. Okay.
So, while operating this, I would first optimize the patient.
How will you counsel this patient? How will you counsel this patient and his relatives? He is only 19 years old. He understands something. But all his father, his uncle, and everybody are very concerned because, he's a young man. He has to get married. He's got this tube inside. He's going to have something done on his penis. No man likes anything done on his penis. Yeah?
I would tell them that the previous surgery has failed, and he will require.
That you don't have to tell them. He knows, that's why he's come here, man. The previous operation failed. You're not giving him any great consolation by saying it has failed.
And he will require another surgical intervention, which may require any further extensive procedure. It may require any abdominal incision with abdominal and perineal procedure, and the success rate will be less than during the first surgery. It will be around 70 to 80%. Then post-operatively, he may have 30 to 50% chance of erectile dysfunction, and probably
He's already got ED, man. He's already got ED.
And
the most important aspect of this counseling you have not told him yet.
He will have a chance of urinary incontinence.
That also is not the most important. When you do urethroplasty, what is the patient's expectation?
That post-operative will void.
Post-op after surgery, what is the patient's expectation?
The catheters will be reduced as early as possible, and he will be able to void per urethral.
Per urethra from the mid tip of the penis, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
That is the idea of urethroplasty, that you are able to void like any other man the urine exiting from the tip of the penis and with control. Now, when you have a defect like this, already operated, and look at this urethra, the first thing that should strike you is that, will I be able to bridge this gap in one go? Or will it require the possibility of a staged repair? Will it require extensive, as you said, abdominoperineal exploration? Will it require a preputial tube urethroplasty? These are the thoughts that should go through your mind. You don't have to tell you have to tell the patient that to bridge this gap, we will have to do certain maneuvers, which you're right. But the most important thing to also warn him is that if things are found difficult, we may have to stage this operation. You may have to have a stage, a scrotal drop back or something that will make you pass urine from the perineum. And then when everything is healed, then we will close it. The option of a stage urethroplasty must be given to this patient as part of the counseling process.
Yes, sir.
No operation you can guarantee 100% success now. One thing is very clear. The success rate drops in a standard end-to-end urethroplasty. It's in the range of about 95 first time. But the second time redos with so much of extensive loss, the risk is very high. And you have to warn these patients that this is the problem that they can have. Okay? That is the message that we want to give in this. And the most important message here I wanted to share with you all is that what has happened to the urethra, you see. The moral of the story is don't do a urethroplasty, redo urethroplasty very soon. Give it time for all the inflammation, etc. to heal. Okay?
Yes, sir.
And then take a call. You can see if you had gone on the strength of the RG which was done there, you would be very happy to say, oh, I can bridge this gap. But you see what has happened now?
Yes, sir.
So you will be more prepared. You will be more prepared to do an operation which may require you to arrange more blood, do certain other maneuvers. All those things will have to go through your mind. Okay?
First, you require, as sir said, either you will be able to do it at one stage or you have to stage the procedure. Suppose you have to stage the procedure. So in this patient, what are the specific problems you anticipate and how do you think you can stage it? If you want to bring both the ends to separately, you want to put something in between, or you want to convert it into a one stage by using a pedicle graft.
So in this patient, if the gap is not bridging by perineal maneuver, and if I have to stage the procedure, then I would consider scrotal drawback for this patient. as the patient is circumcised, the option of preputial tube is not there in this patient.
No. You can't say that. You can't say that. You can take a circumcornal flap even in a patient who has had a circumcision. The inner prepuce goes, that's all. The rest of the penile skin is there with his blood supply. It's after all a ritual circumcision. So you can still get. The only problem is how much will you be able to mobilize without getting too much of problem with the penile body, that's all. But otherwise, you should be able to get a reasonable tube even after a patient has had a circumcision. So it's not a contraindication.
Okay.
Yeah, you can still do a tube.
So,
Well, I should have back tested.
what was the procedure done?
After on-table urethroscopy, which revealed tight stricture at the level just beyond the penoscrotal junction, the scope was not passed. Beyond that, guide wire also could not be passed. Patient underwent abdominoperennial transpubic urethroplasty with omental wrapping. So we have some intraoperative pictures. The arrow shows the point up to which we could pass the dilator.
Okay.
What you want to appreciate is that when you do this, can you see this mouse pointer?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, this is the edge of the perineal body is supposed to be somewhere here. When you do a pubectomy, inferior pubectomy, you are shortening this distance, isn't it? Normally, the bulbar urethra will come here and then go inside. Now you have done an inferior pubectomy, so naturally everything will be much higher up. All right.
Yes.
So you see where it is. You see the penis is there, and that's the penoscrotal junction. You are very close to mobilizing up to the penoscrotal junction, and you are just there at the proximal, at the distal bulb.
Yes.
Show the next picture.
So just a couple of pictures.
Yeah, sure. What is the next?
This one, when we had mobilized, we had done the pubectomy and we had mobilized the urethra.
Yes.
So from the head end, I had taken.
Yeah.
this.
Now this is a picture showing the urethra after the transpubic. A formal transpubic procedure was done, and you can see that this is the tube that's coming out from the prostate, and this is the urethra which has been routed to the formal transpubic. That means the inferior pubectomy was completely redone, and the whole pubic bone was taken out. You don't have a plain X-ray of that, just to show how much of defect is there.
Post-operatively, sir, we have not taken.
So the next picture, if you have one.
Just last one, sir. The anastomosis was completed.
Yeah, you can see the two. Where this is the urethra. This one.
Yes, sir. These are the sutures.
Okay, right. So only by doing that you were able to shorten the gap. Is there any other way to bridge this defect?
Sir, with the use of ileum or
Yes, enterourethroplasty. Yes. If you come this far and you still find that, oh, preputial tube is not going to come, he's already had a circumcision, you're stuck now, I didn't warn him, then the alternative here is an enterouretroplasty. Using which part of the bowel, say a bowel?
sir, ileum or sigmoid colon?
Which is usually preferred?
Ileum.
Sigmoid is usually preferred because it's sitting right there and its blood supply will be able to take it. The ileum blood supply sometimes may not reach. Remember, you have to take it and make a tube out of it and then connect it. It's not like doing a neobladder. Okay? The distance here is much more than what the neobladder will do. Because you have to take it here and then you have to root it outside. While you will be able to do the proximal anastomosis, the distal one will be a problem. So the sigmoid seems to have a better length because it's closer to the pelvis. It's just sitting there.
Okay.
Right.